live. Yeah, yeah, we going live. Hey, hey, we going live. Yeah, yeah, we going live. Yeah, yeah, we going. Yeah, yeah, we going. Yeah, 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 we going live. From the 50-yard line, we going live. From the 50-yard line, we going live. From the 50-yard line. Hey.
Hello, beautiful people.
Hello, hello.
I am Jarrett, the football genius Burgess.
And I'm Stephanie Fitzpatrick, a.k.a. the Advantage Coach.
And this is episode 47 of the Field to the Real podcast. Yes.
We gotta start planning now. Like when we hit 100,
we gotta do something real.
We throwing a block party or something. Like
we're going look, it's gonna have to be a live one with the barbecue going on behind
us.
And the grill.
We tailgating something. It ain't even gonna be.
You know what would be dope? If we could do it from Mercedes-Benz in one of the suites.
Oh, yeah, that'd be dope.
Arthur Blanks,
if you hear this. Right. Anybody who can help make that happen. It ain't gotta be awesome. Anybody who can help make that happen, we would greatly appreciate it.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's awesome. But yeah. So I'm so excited and proud of us, honestly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Almost at 50 episodes. Like this is pretty good.
Wow.
Yeah.
And people always are shocked when I say, I had a guy ask me today in one of my meet and greets. He said, "Is it a lot of work?" He said, "It seems like a lot of work." He said, "Is that a lot of time?" I said, "Luckily, I love sports enough that I don't even feel like it's work."
Yeah.
So it don't feel like work when we do this.
Definitely not when we recording.
Not even before to me, really.
Oh no, I'm talking about.
We gotta have production meetings and.
Oh no, not that part at all. I'm talking about the editing.
Yeah. But you got to edit, so you got some more work to do. Okay.
The editing and the waiting for it, the upload, the anchor.
Yeah. Okay.
Now that's the only part that actually feels like work. The rest of it is a breeze. Because even on the days when we don't have meetings, we still talking about sports.
Right. So, it is what it is.
All right, let's get right into who's really rights.
All right.
Who's really rights? Who's really right? And let's do our Super Bowl pick.
Yeah, man. First, let's talk about how the divisional games went. Well, more to the point, the NFC. No, the AFC. AFC Championship.
Oh yes.
Come on.
So we thought that it was Cinderella. It was a Cinderella story with the Tennessee Titans.
Man.
Going on the road to knock off the New England Patriots first.
Right.
Then going into Baltimore and knocking off the number one seeded Baltimore Ravens.
Right.
And they just seemed like the team of destiny. They went up to Kansas City and they were up 17-7.
Yeah.
And then Pat Mahomes.
Listen, that little joker.
Yeah. Like
him, and it's the three of them to me. Like they're the super quarterbacks to me. Him, Deshaun Watson, and Lamar Jackson. Like they they pick their teams. They do the LeBron to me.
Yeah.
They get the mop bucket and everything, and they just put it on their shoulders and they say, "Let's go."
Yeah.
Like real talk. That's what I get from them. Like I'm like, they are amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're talking Kansas City. And
they the clock struck 12 on the Tennessee Titans.
Right.
And
somebody didn't find their slipper.
Yeah, no slipper found here.
No slipper. At all.
Cinderella went home.
Yeah.
So the Kansas City
Chiefs. On the other
Chiefs,
side, though, it wasn't so pretty.
Yeah, the San Francisco 49ers played the Green Bay Packers. And even though the Packers were 13-3 and they ended up being the number 2 seed, they didn't really feel much like
what did you say the other day? What is I can't remember how you put it the other day.
They are the worst 13-3 team. They are the worst 13-3 team I've ever seen in my life. They didn't feel, the entire year they just didn't feel like a great team. You know, they won. It wasn't really impressive.
Right.
It was just kind of, you know, winning.
Right. Yep. I would agree. It never really felt like I've seen better Green Bay Packers team.
Yeah, definitely.
That didn't make it this far. Like it was just weird. Like I'm thinking like they've been so much better than this, but they wouldn't make it. They didn't make it this far. But it speaks also to the NFC and being bad. So.
Right. Yeah, the NFC was really top heavy.
Yeah.
You know, and I felt like the Saints 49ers, a rematch of that game would have been like a game that would have been really good, you know.
I ain't gonna agree with that.
Yeah, I know you ain't. Yeah, I was going out on that limb by myself.
Yep.
But the Jimmy Garoppolo threw 8 passes that game, and they just ran and ran and ran, and the 49ers ran their way right into the Super Bowl.
Right. Man, that dude was on fire. What did he have, like 229 rushing yards or something crazy like that?
What's his name? Raheem Mostert.
Yeah.
And, you know, one of the things that Kyle Shanahan did was he took he let history be his guide. You know, the Patriots came back in the Super Bowl on the Atlanta Falcons while they were up. And I know. But he learned from his mistake.
You think it was a mistake? Okay.
Yeah, no, it was a mistake. It was a mistake.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna take at least you're taking some ownership.
Yeah.
Versus you just, you know.
Yeah, it was like, well, they just were a better team.
In my mind, I felt like you just said, I'm about to be the. Now, what else do I need to do for the 49ers? Because I felt like halftime, you were like,
he was halfway out the door.
Yeah.
Nah.
That's how I felt.
I think that he probably wanted to remain aggressive, which we talked a little bit about that against the Texans versus who was the Chiefs?
Chiefs? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Texans versus the Chiefs.
Yeah.
When they went forward on 4th down while they were up 24-7. And that turned out to be a bad idea. And so
I told you, I was like, what is this idiot doing?
Yeah. Kyle Shanahan did not fall into that trap this weekend. Right. He just kept taking what they gave him.
Hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Don't fix it.
It was working. He had 229 yards. I don't guess you really need to worry about whether they can run the ball.
Nah.
Yeah. So but that brings up our who's really right, because now we know it'll be the 49ers.
49ers versus the Chiefs.
And I told you when we had the production meeting, I thought this was really interesting because we have an old school coach. And old school
one of the new school coaches.
Old school coach but he's got new school ideas about offense.
Yes.
Versus the young coach, kind of new coach.
Yeah.
Who's gone back to using the old remedy.
Okay, that's true, because he definitely did that last week. But I'm not even looking at the head coaches in this game. Okay. I'm looking at Robert Saleh, who is the D coordinator of the San Francisco 49ers. Yeah. And I'm looking at Eric Bieniemy, who is the offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs. Mm-hmm. Both young black coaches, both were passed up for head coaching jobs.
We talked about this last week.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But I'm anxious to see who wins this war. Will it be Kansas City's offense or San Francisco's defense?
Yeah, because I think San Francisco's game plan last week, because while they were not looking like the Packers of old, we know Aaron Rodgers is a beast. He can quickly score. He can make things sounds familiar. Quickly score, make some things happen. He can use his legs to get around out of the pocket to free himself up, to give him some time. So we know all of those things to be true. So the fact that that was their game plan last week,
Yeah.
I don't think you'll be able to. I just don't think it'll work this time. I don't know.
No.
I don't think it'll work. I know you're talking their defense versus the Kansas City offense, but do you know? Listen, I don't think I really understood until last weekend how fast these dudes were Kansas City.
Oh yeah, they got a track team at receiver.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I really don't know if even San Francisco has enough to keep up with that speed.
Oh, so I'm proposing that it may not even make it to the receivers. When
so
you
thinking
can
they're
get,
gonna be able to put pressure on Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah. When you can get a pass rush and you can get pressure on the quarterback like San Francisco has been able to do all season with the 4 defensive linemen that they have without blitzing, you become a very dangerous team. And it almost reminds me of that Giants team in 2007.
Michael Strahan,
O.C. Umenyiora.
Yeah.
Who else was on that team?
Was Justin Tuck?
I don't think Justin Tuck was there yet.
He was?
Oh, no. Justin Tuck was there.
Yeah.
The other guy, the kid from South Florida, who is with the Bucks right now, blew his finger off in the.
Oh God! Wait, why can't I think of his name?
I can't think of his name right now either.
Oh my Lord! What's the? Okay, but we know.
Yeah.
His name, but yeah, that 4.
Yeah, he wasn't there to the second Super Bowl run.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were able to get pressure, and I think that ultimately was the difference between them and the Patriots, because they were able to get to Tom Brady, and Tom Brady wasn't able to relax in the pocket, and they could go all defensive ends across that front line and get pressure, and they didn't need to blitz. And so that's what I see.
Mahomes ain't Tom Brady. Let's be clear.
No, he's not. He's not. But we've seen when Patrick Mahomes has to deal with pressure, which I believe he dealt with a little bit of pressure the first game against the Titans when they lost to the Titans.
Okay.
The Titans came back. And against Houston.
With JJ. And,
yeah. The first game against Houston. He wasn't able. He didn't look Mahomes like. And so.
Okay. I mean, we'll see. I don't know. I don't know. He gets the ball out of his hands pretty quickly.
He does.
So I don't think literally, let's see, maybe it would be the Packers. Trying to think of a team, well, this year maybe even the Ravens, a team that can score so quickly.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So I was just like, well, yeah, but I do think, I know you say it's the defense versus the offense, but clearly both offenses have to see the field in order to score. Yeah. Well, they don't have to score, but
Yeah.
You would want them to score. You would want to see them score. And so I just don't know because we're not talking about the Chiefs defense either.
We haven't.
Listen, Suggs is looking like Suggs when he was first with the Ravens. He looks like, who is that? And, he looks so good. And I'm just like,
and Frank Clark.
Right. Like they don't have no little, this ain't no, I don't see it being, I don't know. Hopefully it will be a good game.
Yeah, I hope so too. I am wishing for a good game. I'm going to jump out there. I'm always going to go with the better defense.
Of course you are. So I guess if we're going to talk about who's really right, who am I going for? Clearly.
The Chiefs, of course.
Chiefs. I'm not sure. We talked about this, and I was like, I don't want to pick the 49ers because I do know what you're saying is true. A great defense is hard to beat.
Yeah.
but I'm just gonna put my trust in not only in Patrick Mahomes, but I have so much
Andy
respect for Andy Reid.
Me too.
I love that guy. And so,
Yeah.
you know what they said? They asked him, what did you do after y'all won? Did you see that?
What did he say?
He said, I went and had a cheeseburger and went to bed.
Oh, man.
I love this dude. So
yeah. I would like to see Andy Reid get one, but it's just, and looking at all of the Super Bowls that I've seen, a great defense, I feel like a great defense usually wins out.
We'll see. We'll see. So if you all we're going to listen, so what we're going to do we started it last week, but we didn't announce it. So we'll start telling you now that on Friday after the podcast becomes available audio, we'll post the Who's Really Right question. On Instagram, and you all will be able to tell us via the question who's really right. So
and you'll see one or two. You don't have to.
Yeah. No, you ain't got to do nothing special. You'll be able to just click on. Y'all know how Instagram works. Don't play.
Yeah.
So just be able to click on whichever one you think is right. So my pick for the Super Bowl for this week's Who's Really Right is Kansas City Chiefs.
And my pick is the San Francisco 49ers. And as much as it pains me to pick them, because my boy Bear, who he may watch the podcast, he has been telling me all season that the 49ers are going to win the Super Bowl.
Oh, Lord.
And I don't want them to be right.
So versus me being right, you don't want him to be right.
We'll both have to be right in this instance.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see. I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a great game. I hope it'll be a good competitive game. I know we're gonna see some high flying offense from the Chiefs, if nothing else. I respect him a little more, but I still ain't sold all the way on Garoppolo. I'm not.
Oh yeah, he only threw 8 passes last week.
I'm just saying, I'm not really just.
No, he may throw 30 this week.
Kyle Shanahan don't sound like he is either.
Oh no, don't do that. They were just asking this morning, should the Patriots have gone with Jimmy G 2 years ago as opposed to getting rid of him and keeping Brady?
What?
Mm-hmm.
Y'all, somebody has had a concussion.
No. I think it's a good question to ask, and I won't delve too deep on it. But I think it's a good question to ask, given Bill Belichick's track record of letting a player go a year or two early as opposed to a year or two late.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I get it.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll see with that too.
All right. So you picked the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Now, knowing what you know.
God, listen, don't stop today, Jarrett.
Knowing what you know about Patrick Mahomes' comments in defense of George Zimmerman, do you still feel confident about that pick?
So, one of the things that I always do as a life coach is explain to people that they have to learn how to compartmentalize their lives. And so this is true for me, even in doing what we do. I have to put aside personal.
Yeah.
When I'm doing what I'm doing with this. And so I am not changing my pick. because I do not agree with the young man's I don't know. And then let me just say, so first tell him and then I'll say what I'm gonna say. Tell him what happened.
So Patrick Mahomes was tweeting around the time that the incident between Trayvon Martin and George Zimmerman went down. And if you don't know, Trayvon Martin tragically lost his life at the hands of George Zimmerman while he was being followed by Mr. Zimmerman through a neighborhood in is it Sanford, Florida?
Yes.
I believe it was Sanford, Florida.
Yeah.
So as Mahomes was watching this, and I believe he was in high school at the time.
Yeah, he was 17, maybe 18. Yeah.
He was responding to someone on Twitter, and he told them, one of his tweets was, well, we don't know what happened. We weren't there. He said, we don't know what happened. We weren't there. And one of the people had responded, but Mr. Zimmerman followed Trayvon Martin, and he wasn't supposed to. And Mahomes' response to that was something to the effect of,
he wasn't guilty for, I think it was like he wasn't, it didn't make him guilty or
right.
Something
That
to that
didn't make him
effect,
guilty
like
of murder.
Murder, yeah, it didn't make him guilty of murder.
Yeah. So there were actually, it hasn't been as big of a news story as I would have expected it to be.
Only because he's taken the road of not responding.
Yeah.
I think had he tried to come out and defend himself or explain where he was in his mindset when he said what he said, or I was young, whatever his excuse would be, I think that would have given him more traction. But the fact that he just said, whatever, okay, I think that kind of, or he's been instructed or advised to just shut up and let it go and not say anything. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm sure some PR person was in his ear.
Yeah, like, somebody has,
do
because
not respond to this.
If he wanted to, he some people was real ugly. That's all I can say. I mean, their responses,
much like the people on Twitter,
Yeah, it's been real. Yeah,
they let him have. They let him have it.
Yeah, they did.
They let him have it. And I guess it was just good for him to just kind of keep it moving and not address any of it.
It's too, what's going on is too important right now.
Yeah.
Like the purpose of it coming out, I'm sure whoever put it out, they did it because they probably had this for a while.
I'm sure.
But you decided to do this in order to try to distract, to get him to get off his game. You know what I mean? Or even to try to divide. I think that was the thing that I was impressed with. And I don't know what happens behind the scenes, but at least on the field, it wasn't showing that his teammates didn't seem to allow it to bother them as well. You know what I mean? Like, cause me, I probably would have been like, I don't want this cat throwing me nothing. I don't want to talk, don't talk to me. Don't, you know what I mean? Like literally, I would have really have had to have gone somewhere and had some Zen pray, something going on in order to be able to go out there and participate in this sport with him, knowing that's what you said about somebody who essentially, I know you're biracial, but your daddy looked like him. Right. Your daddy looks like this boy.
Yeah.
And to say that, I'm like, wait, what? But again, I try to give people benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
And I thought about it from the standpoint of being 17.
Right.
And biracial. Because at first I was like, oh, you want some old Tiger Woods. In my head, that's where I went. Yeah. But I was like, no. And so I wish when the Super Bowl is over, I wish he would
make a statement.
Make some statement.
Yeah.
So that our minds and hearts, as they say in church, so your minds and hearts can be clear.
Yeah.
For where he was when he said that. As it stands right now, for me, I'm just going to make an assumption that you were young. Yeah. And you probably have been raised in a situation because your dad played baseball, Major League Baseball. So you had paper. Yeah. So you didn't grow up in a situation where you grew up privileged. Yeah. And it makes me think about, there's a show I told you that you got to watch, All American.
Yes. Yeah.
And so the whole premise in that show is of a biracial family. Tay Diggs. Yeah, Tay Diggs. Tay Diggs. Wait, who was in How Stella Got to Go Back? Tay Diggs. Tay Diggs.
Yeah.
Tay Diggs plays the dad. I'm like, and they all, yeah. Anyway, Tay Diggs plays the dad, and then he's married to a white lady, and they have 2 biracial children, and they live in Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
So there's privilege there.
Yeah.
And so when the young man from Crenshaw moves in, you get to go back to Crenshaw with him. You get to see real stuff that's going on in other people's lives that aren't privileged. And so they get a different perspective on it. But he didn't have that, well, I don't want to call it a luxury, but I guess he didn't have that sense of what life was for an African-American male.
Yeah.
So I know I went all the way around the world. I'm sorry.
No, I really feel that, there's a level of privilege that I'm sure he grew up with that would probably make it very hard for him to identify with a Trayvon Martin.
Yeah.
Or anyone
can't even identify with that, right?
Anyone who's been followed like that or profiled or something like that. So I honestly, initially I wanted to hear him say something on the matter, and now I don't even think I want to hear him say anything.
And it's not even a conclusion and be done with it, right?
well, I think that if he doubles down on those comments, then
he's gonna destroy himself.
It's gonna make me feel a way about him as a person. Yeah. And I'm very much one of those people who I like the person first before I like the athlete.
Mm-hmm.
It's
important. That's why you like LeBron so much.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. So it'd be very hard for me.
Yeah, I understand.
So I think now that I just kind of attribute it to a level of privilege that he probably had growing up that as a teenager he wouldn't be able to identify.
Yeah. Lack of knowledge, youth, immaturity, privilege,
right? All
of that. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And I would hope that he's seen enough as far as young unarmed men being gunned down by the hands of authority figures.
Yeah.
To have a difference of opinion, but I'd be very disappointed if he were to come out and double down on those comments. So
no, that would just be being stubborn. I don't really believe that. If you did, I don't believe you believe that. I think you just be being stubborn. Like, this is my opinion. Like,
right.
Yeah. So I don't know. Right. So no, it doesn't change my vote.
Doesn't change the Super Bowl pick.
No. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're still going to win, and I'm still gonna be happy for him. I can say I was in a place still a little bit when they won on Sunday, but I got over it. I'm like, no, I'm gonna be happy for this kid. This is amazing. He's so young, so poised. Like you getting this opportunity that you didn't get last year. Like you were this close last year.
Right, you were right there. You were right there. All sides by Frank Clark from being in this position again last year.
Yeah. So I'm benefit of the doubt. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's jump into this Darelle Revis, Richard Sherman.
Look at my
back
face.
And forth.
I'm just absolutely disgusted by this.
Why?
I'm disgusted. I'm so sick of these situations with. I don't want to make everything about race, but I do, because I'm an African American woman.
Mm-hmm.
I know our culture very well.
Yeah.
And I am absolutely disgusted by this because, you hadn't even said what happened, but I'm disgusted by this because I don't like to see I don't want to see anybody tearing anybody down. I don't care what color you are.
Right.
But I particularly feel like Black men have enough things against them not to do this to each other.
Right. And
you got to tell what it is.
I think that it shouldn't be a situation that is for public consumption. Now, for those of you who don't know, Darelle Revis, actually Darelle Revis and Richard Sherman are both future Hall of Fame cornerbacks.
Mm-hmm.
And cornerback is one of those positions. If
You
you
don't
guys
get
aren't
in
familiar
there.
with prime time,
That's about it.
if
You don't get in there like that. Just don't happen.
you have to be a very confident person, and so most of those guys feel like they're the best. They're the best of all time.
Well,
So
they better. You gotta
Deion
go out here
Sanders,
and guard the best. So you better. Yeah.
Deion Sanders felt like he was the best.
Well, he proved it.
They called Darelle Revis. They had a whole what do you call it? They had a whole nickname for what he did to opponents. They called him Revis Island.
Right.
As in, he was able to lock down one whole side of the field.
Right.
And so he was what most would have considered the best corner in the game during his time. Richard Sherman came in.
Say that again. Wait, don't go further. Say when?
During his time.
During his time.
Yeah, during his time. He was one of the best corners in the game.
Yeah.
He got paid really well from being one of the best corners in the game.
Even though you played for a crappy team, you still, that's the thing that really makes it, he was good. He played on a sucky team.
Yeah. He was still locked down one whole side of the field.
Yeah.
But because they play the corner position or the cornerback position a bit differently, Darelle Revis doesn't really respect what Richard Sherman does at cornerback, which it's hard for me to explain in layman's terms, but basically, Darelle Revis, whoever the best receiver is from the other team, he would follow that receiver all over the field for the most part.
To make sure they didn't catch the ball.
To make sure they didn't catch the ball. And he was pretty successful with that. Mm-hmm. Richard Sherman, because of the defenses that he's been in, hasn't had to follow the receiver all over the field. He plays
a certain part of the field, right?
He plays a certain part of the field, but he's a left corner, so he's usually on the left side of the left side of the defense.
Right.
Which means that, most offenses are right-hand dominant. And so he would be seeing most of the action over at the left corner. Mm-hmm. But because he played, instead of man, he plays a lot more zone. People use that as a knock against his skills, which I don't think is fair. It's not fair at all, given the fact that different defensive coordinators require different things out of their players. And at the way that Richard Sherman plays defense and plays cornerback, he's been doing it at a high level since he came into the NFL, but he's been all pro since his second year. And I think that should be and has to be respected. So it's unfortunate, to hear them go back and forth and kind of tear each other down. And I really just think the whole traveling corner thing, too big of a deal is being made out of that. It is something to be admired. Patrick Peterson is another corner who does it and who is very vocal about, how he feels about that. Mm-hmm. He's another one who kind of put a knock on Richard Sherman for not traveling. But, for those of you who don't know about defense, it's not as if you can just go out there and say, I'm going to go guard him like it's playground football. It's not street ball.
It's not street ball. That's all I'm saying. It's not street ball.
You have assignments. You have things that you're supposed to do as a defender, assignments that you have, and you have to perform them to the best of your ability. So these one-on-one matchups that these corners talk a lot about, because of the defenses that I've come under, I don't understand it. I don't understand that being a reason why you pigeonhole another man.
I guess if it was like you just said, and this is what I said when we talked about this Monday, if this was up to Richard Sherman, if when he hit the field, he could be like, you know what they said, bunk it, I'm going to just do what I want to do, mm-hmm. then if he was still, even if he was still doing it, I don't think it's right to criticize. But it is not his responsibility to make the plays, be the defensive coordinator. He doesn't decide how this happens. All he does is goes out and do what they tell him to do.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
And so to knock him for something he has no control over is a problem.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, shut up unless you've seen him get burnt.
Right.
And I ain't seen it.
Well, it did happen in this past game. I saw a highlight, but he came back and redeemed himself and caught an interception.
Oh, with the interception. He did. You're right. But how often does that happen?
Not very often at all.
Not very often. So I'm still saying, regardless of the type, even though it's zone versus man, he's still locking down whatever he's got to take care of. So you've got to give that man his props and respect. And
lot of the go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
A lot of the times when you're in zone, for those of you who don't know what zone defense is, zone defense really means that you have a particular area of the field that if someone comes into that area, that's who you are defending.
Right.
Well, a lot of the times, as a corner, you end up being in man anyway while you're in zone. Yeah,
because you got to follow that person.
Yeah.
Right. And once they get past a certain point, he's man anyway.
Yeah.
I got to go try to catch you if you've gone past it.
Right.
So,
if I'm in cover 3, which means that there are 3 people back, 4 people underneath, and the man is running through my zone, I'm with him step for step anyway.
Now. It's man now.
So.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I know that what we're talking about is true, that it's not Richard's fault that this is how he's just happened to be on teams, that this is the way they play defense.
Yeah.
But more so than that was my point at the beginning, like, and what you said even, like, why did you have to say this out in the Twitter world,
right?
Instead of, even if, how about this one? Just shut up. If this ain't nothing positive, if you're not, like, you should, the thing you should be doing is, Richard, I saw this while I was watching the game, bro, but you do that privately, not on Twitter.
Right. Yeah.
Like, Richard, this is what I saw, and you need to fix this, or maybe you can do this to correct this, or something like that. But tearing him down publicly, your time is over.
It feels like bitterness.
Your time it's almost the same thing I feel like with the whole Paul Pierce, how he's been.
Yes.
About, you know what I mean? Like,
God,
you had listen. You had your chance. You had your time.
You had your time.
They worshipped you. They gave you all of that when it was your time. Now leave that man alone and let him go do him.
Right.
So that's really where my, like, beyond the whole what kind of defense the team is playing, just man to man. This is just, let's not keep doing this to each other.
Right.
Just really.
Yeah.
That's just silly to me. Ugh. Anyway, you know, I was real mad about this.
I know you. Yeah. I just don't understand it, you know.
Yeah.
But both of you guys are both in your times, and Richard Sherman, you're still playing now.
Yeah.
You guys exhibited greatness. You guys are both going to be first ballot Hall of Famers. Just
respect.
Yeah, respect each other. Come on.
Look, put some respect on it.
Yeah.
Like, real talk. So, anyway, okay.
All right. So, this is an interesting one for both of us. That is at the very end. I think once the league calendar year switches over to 2020, Dak will be a restricted free agent. Mm-hmm. They did not get a deal done during the season, last offseason, and they haven't been able to get one done so far this offseason. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that's coming out of Cowboys camp is that Dak Prescott should take a discount so that they can keep all of their players together, which would give him a better chance of winning a Super Bowl. Well, we can tell by that facial expression
Did
that
they
you just gave.
did they make it to the playoffs?
They didn't make it to the playoffs this year.
With the team they have, I mean, with the people, these precious people that they need to be around him.
They just need so badly.
Did they make it to the playoffs?
No,
I don't think they made it to the playoffs.
Playoffs.
They didn't make it to the playoffs.
No.
So I don't know. I don't know that it's all that great. I mean, and I feel like I have a real problem with you saying it's just a racial day for me, I guess. Gee, sorry. I got a real problem with you saying to the black man, though.
Yeah.
You know what? Just take a little less money. It's okay. So that you can. I don't agree with that at all. Get what you get. You had what, over 5,000 passing yards? Did you not lead? Did they not have the number one offense?
They had it was a top offense.
For a good period of time during the season, they were the number one.
They were number one. You're right. Yeah.
And so I'm confused.
Yeah.
If this, because we know, if he had less melanin, because he's biracial.
Yeah.
But if he had less melanin, this would not be a conversation. I don't believe it.
So the only reason why, because I'd be ready to throw something racial all the time. The only reason why I would say that not necessarily is because I feel like, and we try to stay away from Patriot talk. You know, I try to stay away from Patriot talk. But I feel like they, no matter what color you are, want you to take a hometown discount.
Well, that's different. That's their culture.
Yeah.
That's the culture of the Patriots.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody special in Bill Belichick's eyes.
Right. No, not even Tom Brady. Nope, take this pay cut.
Even Tom Brady.
You're the
Tom
GOAT,
Brady
sir, but your wife makes money.
Yes.
You don't need it. You don't need it.
No, because I told you what I heard with the commentators, and the comment was, well, Tom Brady took less money in order to have a better team around him, and I feel like that's what Dak needs to do if he wants to win a Super Bowl. Sir.
Yeah. Nah.
I think, because here's my truth in this. When you get to the NFL, you're already an elite player. Even if you can't keep Amari Cooper, because that's really what this is about.
Yeah.
If you cannot keep Amari Cooper, there's somewhere in this atmosphere another wide receiver who can come in for less money and give you what you need.
Yeah.
When you got Ezekiel Elliott and Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
So you got a elite running back and an elite quarterback.
You got to figure it out after that point. You can't, that the way free agency is set up, you can't keep everybody. You can't pay everybody.
But I'm letting Amari ride before I'm going to let Dak ride.
Right. Yeah.
Because if you don't want to pay me, I'm hitting the door. Bye.
Right.
Somebody will pay me what I'm worth.
And that's the thing. If you don't want to pay him the money, don't try to tell him that he should take less. Go find something cheaper. Yeah. Well, he didn't make Zeke take less.
No,
he probably tried.
Zeke played that thing out perfectly with them. Yeah. That's why they felt pressured to do that, because Zeke and Zach are not the same types of personality.
True. Yeah.
So Zach ain't gonna act a fool like Zeke will.
Nah.
He not.
Yeah. And
they know that, and he'll take advantage of that. Jerry Jones will take advantage of that.
Yeah.
So I hope that Dak. I know that I hate his mama's not here, because sometimes it's just a mama moment.
Yeah.
You need a mama to be like, baby, listen, you are worth way more tn what he's. No, we're not gonna do. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like sometimes it's not even about an agent. It's not about a manager. It's not none. It's just mama, and I,
Yeah.
So, Dak, I'm gonna pretend I'm your mother right now. I know I'm not white, but I'm gonna say it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
That son, you are worth every penny.
Right.
And you should go get it.
Yeah.
Whether it's with the Dallas Cowboys or it's
Nah.
with another team. There
Yeah.
are plenty of teams out here who are going to be dying for a quarterback of your caliber.
This is true. Because somebody gonna pay you the money.
Even in your own division.
Mhm. Somebody gonna pay you the money.
They're gonna pay you the money.
Yeah.
Because I'm worried. I don't know about your boy Carson. And yeah. So yeah.
No, don't do Carson like that.
Oh, okay. So yeah, but
Carson ruled this team to the playoffs.
Wow, look at that. And you did. Anywho, yeah. Wow. So yeah. That's ugly all in itself, right there. That right there. Like, wait, what? He can't even stay healthy. And you want this boy to do what? Take less money? Shut up. Like, go sit down. Like,
Man.
Real talk. So, no, Dak. Every penny, bro.
Yeah.
Real talk. Every penny.
Yeah. All right. On to the real. Okay. Now, this is a special one because we don't typically do an on to the real like this. Not something birthed out of, I won't say tragedy.
Yeah.
But something birthed out of, I guess what we consider a bad situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Chandler Parsons, who was a member of the Atlanta Hawks, was in an accident last week.
On
Wednesday last week, where he was.
In the afternoon. By the way, let's make sure. Yeah. After practice, it's 2 p.m. It's not the middle of the night. It's nothing crazy.
No, still light outside.
Right.
People are getting out of school.
Right. So thank God it wasn't in the kids in the street. So yeah.
Right. But Chandler Parsons was hit by a drunk driver. And now it's being reported that his career might be in jeopardy.
Yeah.
And usually when we do it onto the real, we talk about someone who's already, transitioned out of sport into, their passion.
Mm-hmm.
But this onto the real is kind of where we talk a little bit about, give you guys a little bit of a synopsis about what we do, and how we could be of help to someone like a Chandler Parsons who we never know when our last play is, when our last down is.
Yeah.
We never know, for the most part. A lot of us end up having the game be done with us before we're done with the game, by one reason or the other. And so Chandler Parsons is dealing with a traumatic brain injury.
Yeah.
That very, very well may make this an on to the real for him.
Yeah. You got to have an on to the real moment.
Yeah.
Like, what's next? Mm-hmm. Who am I? I'm more than this sport.
Right.
Like, that's kind of, so you kind of alluded to it with us with Field to the Real project. And when I brought this to you, I told you, instantly I go from being angry about Dak to extremely sad.
Yeah.
About this, because when I brought this to you, I said, I don't know why this has affected me so with him. Like I told you, I was like, man, how can I get to him? Like I want to be able to I want to get to him because so what we do with the project is that's why what we do with Field to the Real project is so important, because and we don't know Chandler's story. I hope with all this within me that he's prepared for this moment already.
Yeah.
If this is it, I hope he's prepared for it.
Mentally and emotionally.
Yeah, always. But what we do is what we do ensures that no matter when that moment comes, when it's over. And this is one of those situations that we talked about this on when we talked about it, is it's not expected. It wasn't like he was injured in the game. He wasn't,
Right.
it wasn't that he was getting old and he couldn't play anymore. And it wasn't any of that. This is you riding home.
Yeah.
And somebody hits you.
Totally
And it's
unexpected.
over. It could be over.
Mm-hmm.
You never get to do this again. Because when I first saw the story, before I read what they said he had, his injuries, I was just thinking all kinds of horrible things like, Lord, did they have to amputate something? You know what I mean? Like I was in that space. But even at that, I don't know. I was really heavy about this one. And with us, we just want to be able to help athletes figure out they're more than a sport. Figure out what that more than a sport is.
Right.
I use the analogy all the time when I'm doing life coaching and group coaching about the onion. And when you peel the skin off an onion and you start to peel back the layers, the more you peel, the more fragrant it becomes, because at the core is where it's most fragrant. And so those layers are who we are.
Yeah.
And so there's more than just that one outside layer that everybody's been looking at. There's so much more in there.
Right.
And I just want every athlete that we come into contact with to figure out those other parts of who they are.
Right.
So that they can go forward and go and do whenever that time is over.
Yeah.
If it's a decision they make, if it's something that happens, if it's however it happens, just
it's already been on your mind.
Yeah.
You already understand what you've been purposed to do.
Yeah.
What you're passionate about.
Right.
And I always say that the thing that you're passionate about is a thing that you can go out here and do for free.
That's what I tell people. That's what I use, Jarrett. When I'm asking people who don't know, if I say, what are you passionate about? Or what do you think your purpose is? I have no idea. What would you do for free?
What could you go out here and do for free?
That's the question I ask. What would you do for free?
Yeah.
If you didn't get a dime for it and you just loved it that much, that's passion. That's purpose. Yeah. So I know this is weird, guys, because like Jarrett said, we typically do one that, this happy story about somebody who's gone on. But we just needed to take a moment, I think, and really talk real for a change, because we have something that we talking about anyway. What we're talking about, a special episode that we're talking about anyway that deals with some of this stuff. So my hope is, instead of us having an onto the reel that has the success story to it, it is a prayer for Chandler Parsons.
Yeah.
That he is prepared for that next.
Yeah. That he's already found.
He knows
his purpose.
Yes. And
he's already located his passion.
Somebody's listening and he hasn't. And I know he's going through some emotional stuff because this is a difficult time. Yeah. Even if I don't know how traumatic the brain injury is. So I don't know where he is with that. But either way, I say, when all is said and done and the time comes for him to make that decision and make that next step, if somebody's listening to this, we're here.
Yeah.
We're here. I will come to Atlanta. We're here.
Yeah.
Like, real talk.
That's real.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. I told you. It's
this was definitely one that, once you said it, and I was definitely on board with changing it up a little bit.
Yeah.
How we usually do with Onto the Real. So our prayers and our thoughts are with Mr. Parsons.
Yeah.
And like Stephanie said, like, if anybody hears this, if they, are around, like, I believe that, especially Stephanie, is definitely someone who would be someone very important for Chandler Parsons to talk to, who can help at a time like this.
Yeah. No, you say especially Stephanie. We do this.
No. We definitely do this, but
We
I
do
definitely
this.
feel like with your background
Yeah.
in mental health,
Yeah.
with something that as traumatic as this,
Yeah.
You being that well-rounded piece, this being your passion, but also having this background
Right.
in health, you especially being, someone for him to talk to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm here.
Yeah. Feel to the real.
fieldtothereal@gmail.com.
Yes.
Hit us up. I'm ready.
All right.
Okay.
Feel good final thought.
All right, y'all. So y'all know our barometer. You know what we use.
Uh-huh.
It's a ha-ha laugh or a eyeball sweat.
Uh-huh.
This an eyeball sweater, y'all. This an eyeball sweater, for real.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah.
So was it the Baylor's women's team or the Baylor's men's team?
It was the men.
Okay, so the Baylor's men's team, a few nights ago, or was it last week?
Might have been, my days, everything.
Yeah, I'm about to say my days are off. I don't even know what the day is.
I think it was over the weekend.
Okay.
I think it was over the weekend. Mm-hmm.
The Baylor Bears, University of Baylor, had Holly Rowe night.
Mm-hmm.
And
it wasn't even, it was Stand Up for Cancer.
Oh, okay. Apologies.
No,
yeah, I don't want to misrepresent it.
Yeah,
it was Stand Up for Cancer.
Mm-hmm.
But they honored Holly Rowe.
Yes.
That evening.
Yes. It was amazing.
Yeah.
So I would just tell people, go Google it and watch, because she didn't know what was happening. She's just there announcing the game and doing her thing. She's Holly Rowe. And so let me give the background that Holly Rowe has been for 2 years now. And what's beautiful about it is, even with her going through her journey, she's never stopped with her work, her commentation work. She's always continued. But she had melanoma.
Okay.
And so she, you could see the journey kind of. She was on TV still I think she had her chemo, and so hair was gone a little bit, and it was coming, so growing back, and the whole story was, you could see it just spelled out on TV basically.
Yeah.
And she she was a fighter. She never stopped. She was still on the sideline interviewing people and all kinds of stuff. And so when Baylor had this Stand Up for Cancer night, because it was a part of the Jimmy V Coaches for Cancer thing that they do.
Yeah.
So they had people with a sign that said, I stand for, and then a name. Well, it just happens everybody had a sign that said, I stand for Holly Rowe. And she was over there, and I think she looked up and she started looking around, and she just started crying. And it was just like, I look at her and I look at Alex Trebek, and just the courage it takes, not because my mom and my dad both, were diagnosed with cancer and passed from cancer. Obviously different types. My mom had breast, my dad had esophageal cancer. But I watched the life that they lived after cancer, and going through chemo and all of the radiation and all of that kind of stuff, and just not feeling well. So for these people to get up and keep moving
and go about that,
and just I'm gonna keep pressing. I watched both my parents do this. My mom did it after she had her first bout. She was like, nope, I'm gonna keep it moving. And she got up and she went on about her life for another 2 years. My dad, he had it, and he fought and he fought and he fought, and he got up and he was up for a minute, and then it got him. But so to see these people fighting through, amazing.
Yeah. So
Holly Rowe, kudos. I'm glad that
Shout out to Holly Rowe.
That was amazing. You do an amazing job of covering things. You do such a great job of interviewing. So I just thought it was amazing that they honored her in that way, and that they recognized it, because it's for men's basketball.
Right.
They don't have to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you would expect it to be the women, but no, it was men's basketball, and they recognized her. So I just really, shout out to them for recognizing.
Shout out to Baylor.
Yeah, for doing that. And good job. So that's it. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been a roller coaster, if you can't tell.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we are at the end of another one.
Yeah.
All of you that listen on a weekly basis, I know we say it every week, but we truly appreciate it. Like to see, our numbers go up real high.
Oh,
and then
come on,
when we
y'all.
take a break, they take a little bit of a dip, and then you guys come back and you continue to watch, and it's we love it. We truly appreciate it, and we love you guys.
Yeah.
If you want to reach out to us, definitely hit us up on Twitter and Instagram at @FieldToTheReal. If you want to send us an email, fieldtothereal@gmail.com.
Yeah.
And just please continue to connect with us, continue to interact with us. Don't just text me and tell me that you think Stephanie's really right. Put it on IG when you see it, so we can see the support,
Oh, and before, listen, I need to do this. Y'all see my new shirt, right? Got a new Field to the Real shirt, y'all. FW Design, my cousin Monique.
Yes, shout out to Monique. Thank you so much.
Yay.
It came in the mail, and I was like, "What's this?"
Right, drop shipping. Look, drop shipping.
Look, she got that thing out there ASAP.
My shirt to me, got it to Jarrett. So I'm like, y'all, if you want to Field to the Real shirt, hit us up so we can get you hooked up with them. And for the ladies, I know you can't tell, but my shirt's blinged out. Like my earth on my shirt is glittery, it's blinged out.
Yeah.
So she can do it all for you if you want it. So just hit us up if you want a shirt. Doesn't have to be long sleeve. She can, So
Yeah. But again, thank you guys.
Yeah.
We out. Peace.
Now put the cameras on me, 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 put the cameras on me.